Welcome everyone. Welcome to the next episode of Stream by Stream. Today we are going to have a special guest from France, and it's Jean-Luc Biaulet. I hope I said that right, Jean-Luc, from Music Story. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
No problem. So what part of France are you in at the moment, Jean-Luc?
I'm just based in the north of France, right between Belgium and France. Brussels and Paris, if you want.
a very nice part of the world. I do envy your location. So Jean-Luc, thanks for joining us today. The purpose of today basically is a bit of a speed round. I want to talk about metadata. I know the company Music Story you work for is a specialist in that area, and I think there's a lot of people in our industry that kind of understand metadata, and I think there's generally quite a lot of people, including artists, up-and-coming artists or new artists or musicians that don't kind of understand what it means for music services, the point of metadata. So what I'm hoping to get out of this session with you is really educate the audience out there for the ones that don't really understand in depth what it means.
I'll try.
Before we get started, so one thing I know, Jean-Luc, about yourself is you've been in the industry ecosystem a long time around music services. You work with quite a few popular music services, and I'd love to hear a little bit of background on that.
Sure. Yes. So I'm basically an engineer, working in database, and I'm from the business intelligence world, the data warehouse back in the day. I was working for retail, and I decided to create a music story 12 years ago now. So it has been a while now, because music is really a real passion for me from the beginning. But it's not only that. It's I felt the direction with digital music in the future with streaming, and I can see from my technical background a huge, need for technical skills to solve all the millions of problems that inevitably will happen in this context.
Great, and we're going to refer to DSPs quite a bit. And so for those that don't know, DSP being a digital service provider, right, or a music service in terms of a DSP. So when people hear reference to a metadata, Jean-Luc, generally I think they think about, it contains an artist name, a song name, maybe some cover art, right? But is that it? Is there more to metadata than just, those three items in terms of music metadata?
Sure, there are far more than that. I would perhaps propose a little classification of different type of metadata. First, you have IDs, identifiers, which are very, very important to, track the streams, to collect the royalties. It's the first most important part, and not that good, in fact, in all the music industry, and we have always problem to fix around the IDs. Secondly, I would mention the descriptors. You don't have only a title. You have also, is it a genre classification, for example, or is it a mood classification on the title, and many different descriptors that could help you to understand what this recording is about. Another type I would say is associated content, because when you deal with metadata, you always have to face, the associations with other contents with rights. So when you have to make the matching between an artist images and recording, for example, you had to face all the issue of the rights around artist images. So you have this type of content. The same for the text, can be biographies, reviews, whatever. You have to take care about that. And the fourth one, I would say it's not really metadata, but you have to deal with that. It's all the, the data collected around the usage, around the streaming service can have many information around the, whether this person is listening from this time to this time or from this area. You are collecting a lot of metadata, connecting in a way on the other side of the metadata. So it's important to deal with that.
Okay, and I guess that's a good point. So two identifies, for those that may not know, musicians, ISRC, and ISWIC. I think one is the International Standard Recording Code for the recording. And I believe the ISWC is the International Standard Recording Work Code, and that's the songwriter or composer. That be correct?
Yeah, sure. One is more on the publisher world side, and the other one is our recording music side. Sorry.
Yeah. So from a metadata perspective, having that right information, having the correct information, probably means you also get paid if you're a musician or an artist or a songwriter. Correct?
Yeah, that's a big deal. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Cool. So is there a standard? Is there a metadata standard people should know about? When new releases are being, generated, or someone's new musician's being asked, hey, you need to, conform to, do you have a metadata? Is it a spreadsheet? Is it a CSV file? And what's the real risk if it's inaccurate or if you have sloppy metadata?
Yeah, in the music industry, we have the chance to have the DDEX standard, but DDEX standard is more, to rules the relationship between, for example, the supply chain from the labels and the DSPs. So it's pretty high level technically, and it's more a standard of communication, between those actors. And from the studio, you have many different parts this includes the metadata provider, the studios, the publishers now are included in that. So it's a really huge work made by DDEX, but it's not really a standard. It's just a way to frame communication, technical communication between the actors. So what artists and other should know is there are a lot of players now in the music industry dealing with metadata. So you have, from the studio, you have now very good software, to just type in your ISRC right from the studio, and the credits, this kind of very precious information. It can be, Soundwaves, Viva, this kind of stuff. And you have also a lot of digital distributors now, or digital players, rights platform, they're dealing with the metadata and all issues of the metadata for the artist. So you have to know it's not really standard. It's players and it's communication standard, in fact.
Right. And so hence what you do with Music Store in terms of what you offer, right? And you really take that next level. And when people refer to enriched metadata, right, it's really taking that and ensuring it's not just the basics, but it's beyond that, right? It's really, and that impacting not only usage and rights, but also the experience, the user experience,
Sure.
right? Which then impacts recommendation engines, right? So, and I can see why, DSPs would be coming to someone like you and saying, hey, this is why this needs to be optimized, or maybe a point of differentiation, right? As a service to kind of stand out from the other, correct?
Yeah, sure. It's what we intend to solve, it's because now DSPs especially are facing so many issues to make using the metadata a good experience for their users. So doing that, you have to fix first a lot of, quality issue, catalogs are not that clean. And to enrich the metadata and to get a good coverage, you have to take care to have the right content for the right, very well-known recording on your site. So, and it's very key for the user engagement, Yeah.
Right. So I'm just going to give an example. I've got a record label. I'm in, a not so advanced market. I've got some metadata. I think I do. It's indigenous kind of language, and I say, hey, I need someone to optimize this metadata because I may have up to 20, 30, 40,000 tracks, right? But I really now starting to advance myself as a DSP or work with DSP. So I want to provide my content to a DSP, right? So what's the process on your side? If I say, hey, here's what I've got, basically, what would you do on your end to kind of analyze that data? What type of process is involved on your side?
Okay, so when it comes to metadata, you have a lot of metadata providers because first you have to get the coverage and the license because there are licenses for images, text, as I mentioned. But nowadays it's not enough for me. Yeah, when you have to do that, you have also, if you work only in music, and Music Story is working only in music area. You have to listen to your clients and to all the issues they can face. So you have to bring services on top of that. And services, it can be, help your clients to do a better matching between two different sources. It can be, get more sources, clear some rights to get this part of complementary content to cover this part because it's very important for you. So it's very specific, needs. It's a kind of a dynamic response you can bring to the DSP to face that. So, and now a DSP have to face so many different sources of metadata. It can be lyrics, it can be images, it can be, and you have to get all this together to bring a real good experience to user. And so having one partner able to aggregate, to curate, to match, to help to solve your problem, to clean your catalog. Disambiguation of artists, for example, is a big issue, one of the first, in fact. So you have now a lot of new technical tools to do that. We are speaking a lot of AI lately, but for me, it's not enough. It's a kind of, digital music engineering, in fact, just to help to rise a level and just for the client to focus on the user experience and to say, okay, is it good for my user? Is there a good response for that? Does lyric brings me a lot, or images? And not just to focus on all these issues that you have to face if you deal with that.
Yeah, so I get it. So if I'm a DSP, the reason I'm doing this, I'm going down the path of enriched metadata experience. Ultimately, I would say I want to increase the user engagement time, right? What does that mean? More consumption, more streams equals more royalties to artists and labels. And I guess, the knock-on effect there in partnerships of a telco, data, and I guess there's also, what else could there be there? The streaming, and I guess also if I'm looking at it from an advertising perspective, right? So the end goal basically is more consumption, greater engagement time, and that does absolutely come with an enriched metadata service, correct?
Yeah.
So I guess the next question becomes, what's the criteria? I'm a DSP, which criteria a DSP should look at, when they're looking at from a metadata provider? Can you kind of list out a couple of key items that you think is important?
Yeah, sure. Yes, basically you have to take care about the coverage because you are unique. You have your platform, you have a very key markets, territories, so you have to take care about that.
That's and licensing, sorry, Jean-Luc, is that when you say a coverage, that's a licensing coverage? So when it's local?
Also, yeah. Yes, it's just to have it and to have the rights for it. Yes, related to that. Sure, definitely. Quality, of course. Quality is it's and now you have this AI wave. So it's right now we are quality of AI produced metadata is increasing. Sure, that's a fact. But it's not solving everything. It's not done. Today, you need musicologists. You need people who can work very specifically on part of your catalog, which are very important. One day or later, you will need these tools and technical tools, but you will need also people, editorial people, taking care of the very important part of your catalogs. So that's a part. But what in Music Theory we intend to do is also to be a partner, in time. It's just to be able not to just license content, but to be there, to listen to the issues, to the problem, to be able to work with the teams, catalogs team mainly, and try to solve the problem and bring solution time after time. It's very important to have this kind of partner. For me, one of the most important questions when you are a DSP starting, a new platform is because metadata issues are always 90% of the time, it's underestimated, really. So be careful about that, because if you underestimate that, you will spend a lot of workload, fixing all issues, trying to match this content with this content, but there is no this label catalog part covered. So why should I do? You see, it's huge. And for me, the main question is the question of the workload you will spend. Do you want? Is it so? I understand it's very important, and some part of that have to be internal. Sure, you have to have internal people to take care about that because it's core for you. Yes, but other parts are not core, and it will take a lot of money, a lot of people to solve that. So would I have the right content and the right partner and the right skill to solve these problems, to get this a way for me to focus on the value and on the user's experience? That's most important for me, most important question you have to add.
Yeah, I think the thing that stood out for me, Jean-Luc, there you mentioned AI and then that human aspect of, the metadata enrichment, because I even struggle, and I think a lot of people are trying to make the differentiation between the two. So is AI metadata the same as, enriched metadata, and how they overlap? So I think what you're saying, that the human touch is still really important in terms of taking it to a level where potentially machine learning or AI is not taking it at the moment, right? And that, for me, that's something, what you just said, I'm learning, because I do struggle a little with understanding that myself.
Sure, exactly. First, machine learning or deep learning, it's still learning. So you have to learn something. So if you don't have the human first saying, okay, this is perhaps this genre, I can feel like that hearing this song. You have to learn, and you have to, and I know a lot of AI company in music. So behind that, you have still the musicologist, the classification and also AI is not all. AI, in fact, is just a tool. So I think the future is more about how about to use correctly the AI in this content, this context or this other context, and try to solve the issues. More than having the big solution, able to provide all the metadata. I didn't mention that on your former question, but when you see one person pretending having all in metadata, think twice.
Right. Well, hey, coming from an expert like you, I get, it's good to know. And like I said, I think, the purpose, like Jean-Luc, is because I think people generally still don't understand exactly the complexity, or I'm still learning. I've been in the industry a long time. I still, sometimes, metadata, lyrics, biographies, images. Sometimes it's crazy. Sounds it's kind of new to me. I'm like, oh, really? I didn't know extended to lyrics. And I'm thinking, how does that work with lyrics and biographies? But as you said, I think the more you dig, the deeper you go, the more you realize, oh my goodness, this is right.
How many times I've seen new DSPs saying, okay, it's not that important, biographies, lyrics. It will come after. Okay, why not? First, you have the musical experience with the audio files itself. Okay, but after that, you need to give information. You have to give a good, for example, a good search engine. You have to be found. It's also an issue for the artist. How can I be really found correctly in millions of tracks? That's a huge issue, in fact, if you think about that. After that, they realize that it's important just for search engine, additional information. And from that, you have to face the coverage and the license. And perhaps it's a moment you say, okay, I'll take all, and you have this impression to get, I have to provide the best, experience. And that's another trick, another trap, in fact, because you have to be humble in that, to say, okay, perhaps I have to get this coverage first, my top 5,000 artists in this country, and I will just focus on having, the best content and that, because it's, I don't know, 80% of my audience, and that's okay. You see?
Got it, totally. So, okay, it's 2021. We're coming out of 2020, which is quite a year, right? I think generally the data is showing that most DSPs have seen great traction in terms of engagement. Not a surprise, right? People consuming more music and content during our pandemic. Are you seeing any trends out there? I mean, from your side, are you seeing top trends or something particular that, enhanced metadata services will impact, or it's required to again benefit the user or the service? What are you seeing out there at the moment?
Yeah, we at Music Story, we are working a little behind the scene because we are in the metadata database, so we are not in the front trying to detect things. But for what I can see, I was really impressed of the live events in the video games world.
I did see
not,
something with Roblox
yeah,
and others there. I did see
yeah,
that. And that's what I was going to say. That's gaming, I guess, is one, right? Or
yeah, gaming. I'm thinking because
yeah.
people are speaking a lot about live streaming, but live streaming you make the habit. It's people are not used to that. They just want to go back to the concert, and perhaps the concert in the future will include a part of the live streaming, as there is a business model to build around that. Okay, but when you do a concert inside, a video game platform with millions of young people in there, just wanting to play with that, that's really impressive. I think that you can see we will see a lot of traction in this way because probably a lot of money will go that way.
No, totally. And that I think, sometimes when we've been in this industry long enough, it's interesting to see, different curves, what's happening. I think I agree with you, VR or virtual reality for those that don't know, or AR, augmented reality, which is what's in the game, right? Augmented reality. Music's associated or live concerts. So again, the whole enriched metadata experience, it's gone from potentially DSP into the gaming world, right? And who knows where it can go there. We're seeing a lot.
Yeah.
I think fitness companies getting involved. I see fitness companies in other markets getting involved with music. So I think generally, I guess, having enriched metadata is really important as, more and more.
Yeah, in that part too, yes. I can disclose something, but you are part of some project in there, and it's a huge work to do in that area. One other trend I would mention is not a very obvious one when you see the news or articles. It's just what for acting behind the scene. What I can see is a more professional, approach of the DSPs. Now there are more than 10 years. They are more grown up, if I may. So they are getting more professional. Yeah, they are organizing. They says you have new specific, trades, skills now. We're dealing with, the data or the user experience, and that's very important to me because now there are. It's perhaps funny to put it like that, but they are taking this very seriously now. The standards, quality standards in the even on a small part of metadata are increasing a lot, and that's good. That's good because we are here for that, and we are trying to follow that. But it's a real fact. It's not you can make a lot of articles on that because it's a growing teams. There are big companies now. There are quite big companies. Yeah.
No, absolutely. And I guess is that, broadly speaking, you're seeing that these companies as a worldwide approach? Is it a particular market that's driving that need to kind of go next level? I think in markets like India, right? I'm thinking complex, multiple languages, and stuff. And it's kind of, I mean, it must be tough. There's days where it must be some markets where you must think, wow, this is complex, right? So while they may not be on the scale side, but I guess markets are unique. Southeast Asia is unique, as you know, right? And other markets. So are you seeing that kind of drive the need, or is it?
Sure. And more than that, now you have this complex situation dealing with local content and editors and worldwide content and editors, and to have the consistency between those two approaches. So and the investment too. Should I have just a unique worldwide solution, or should I bet really a lot on the local skills and because if you are playing on every part, you will spend a huge amount of money. So some could do that perhaps, but not all of them. Yeah. So it's choices, priority to make it, to prioritize your work in metadata is key.
Very good. So that's pretty much what the questions I had, Jean-Luc. That's fantastic. I definitely think I've learned quite a bit. Definitely on the AI part, the human interaction side. I think generally, like I said, people still, I think they get overwhelmed, when it comes to metadata, even the reference to, enriched metadata, and someone says, well, give me an example. Why is that enriched exactly? And I think, you call that a couple of examples there. Any last words from you? On the
yes,
top?
When you have fixed all your pricing issue, UX issue, catalogs and deals levels issue, to have a real platform, a good platform, how can you make the difference if not with metadata?
Very good. Very good. Jean-Luc Biaulet, thank you very much. Thanks for joining us on Stream by Stream. Enjoy the rest of your day, still morning in France. So great to connect. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Spiro, for having me. Really.
Thank you.
Bye.